Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 7 of Better Let Me Tell You.
On that note, hey everybody, welcome to episode 291 of Pero Let Me Tell You. Well, yeah, we're 9 weeks away from 300.
We sure are.
This is like a whole 9-week period in a grade.
Oh, do we get a teacher planning day at the end?
Do you remember when you were in elementary school, in school, how your life was measured by 9 weeks?
That is true, and nowhere else is that the case.
No. You had 4 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's, 36 weeks?
That's the way my math works.
36 weeks. And yeah, your life was measured in 9-week
intervals.
Wow, right?
If only that were still the case.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. How are you all doing?
I think everybody's doing good, but am I to assume that you were singing Nelly Furtado because you saw her Juno performance?
Her Juno performance.
Can we talk about that ass?
Can we? Va va voom.
Damn.
She looked great. And
she's been eating those black beans from that video. Turn off the light.
You know what I love is that, she's always had, the thing about Nelly Furtado, she's always had a banging body.
Right.
But it's not that she wasn't like sexy because
that wasn't her thing.
Right. It wasn't front and center, especially at the beginning. And like her second or third album, the one with Loose and Promiscuous and all that, it was a little bit more, but she was always one of these people that like you would look at her and it's like, whoa, like,
yeah.
Like she was fed well. Like,
she's definitely Portuguese.
Yeah. And now, the Juno Awards, for those of you who don't know, it's sort of like the Canadian Grammys.
Right.
When I first heard of the Juno Awards? Alanis Morissette.
Okay, well, that tracks.
When
she
back
swept
in the MTV days, that there would be like, Alanis Morissette won 25 Juno Awards. And it's like, oh, Canada.
Oh, they do their own thing, don't they?
Yeah. That's like, what their music channel is?
Much Music.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, Nelly Furtado did like a greatest hits medley in the Juno Awards this week in Canada. If for those of you who are curious, just look up Nelly Furtado Juno Awards 2024. And she's one of these people that like she has a lot of hits.
Yeah, you don't stop and think about it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
That song that we were singing, oh, you don't mean nothing at all to me. That song is so freaking good. That's a great song.
That album.
I mean, her Timbaland era was great.
That is true. That is true. But it was just Timbaland. It wasn't Timbaland and Magoo.
No. That was a.
Yeah. Where is Magoo?
You know what? You left me speechless.
Is that what they were looking for at Diddy's mansion this week? Magoo.
God, can we talk about that for a moment? Where is my Yeti?
I saw you looking for something. Okay, I see your Yeti. We can keep talking about Diddy.
He's picking up my Yeti.
The Yeti, yes.
I don't go anywhere without my Yeti nowadays. I need refreshment.
No, clearly he needs hydration.
Listen, I've talked about this before. We are not sponsored by Yeti, but Yeti, if you want to sponsor us, please.
Yeah.
People, if you don't have a Yeti, you need to get one. This thing has witchcraft. Like, I don't understand how I could fill it with ice now and on today's Fake Friday.
Yeah.
Like on Saturday, it will still have water.
It will still
have ice.
And it'll still be like, right, it'll still have ice.
Like, how does it do that?
It's magic.
I'm sure it is.
It's from Hogwarts.
And I've heard that for hot like soup and all that, it does the same, but I don't drink anything hot. So
that's
I don't
true.
drink warm beverages.
So you've never been soothed?
Is that what it is?
No. So on Big Bang Theory, Sheldon, his Meemaw, his grandmother, always said that when somebody's agitated, you offer them a hot beverage to soothe them.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, like a tea, like
I don't like anything hot. I don't.
Not even Mel B.
I don't even like food really hot.
Well,
have you seen what I do to soup in a restaurant?
I don't think I've ever seen you have soup at a restaurant.
I don't have soup often, but when I do, I put ice in it.
Okay, I've never seen you do that.
Yeah, I do.
Because I would remember that.
Well,
No.
I don't. I'm not like, hey, everybody, stop eating dairy and it's putting ice in his soup. But I put ice in my soup.
Okay, but that's like something
I don't. Like
I would notice.
I don't like it cold, but I don't like hot food. And like when they bring me food, like in a restaurant, like I wait a good 5 minutes before I eat it. I'll like eat the corn on the side or still finish my bread and blue cheese.
Okay, so you've got other things to occupy.
It's not like I'm sitting there not eating, just like looking up at the ceiling, right? I keep myself occupied with other things. But no, I don't like anything really hot. I don't.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, yeah, I don't.
I mean, I live in the tundra. What do you expect?
This is true. Yeah, I've never even seen you have like hot chocolate.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
I don't do hot chocolate. If I want chocolate, I'll have room temperature chocolate.
Room temperature chocolate. That does not roll off the tongue.
Nope. I don't do tea. I've tried to be a tea person.
You've never had like manzanilla? Like cuando tienes un mal de estómago?
Right, but I'm not somebody who like, I'm going to go have some tea.
Oh, I tried to be a tea person.
I've tried to be a tea
didn't
person.
It didn't take.
I've tried to be a tea person, like, and I'll do like the honey, like I will do tea and put honey, put milk, and it's not that I don't like it.
It's just not your jam.
I'm just not that person.
Yeah, I tried to be that person once because I was like, it's got to be better than coffee. It didn't take.
No, it's hot.
It didn't take. No, for you, but I'm saying for me, like it just didn't take. No,
I don't like anything warm.
yeah, I can't start my day with tea.
That just sounds wrong.
No,
You can't start your day with tea.
no.
I feel that in like Latin culture, it's todo. Ay, tómate un tilo.
Toma un tilo, right? Like, yeah, it's like I'm not gonna have un
Okay,
tilo.
what is tilo?
Tilo is actually
Is it chamomile?
I think it's like a chamomile. It's not chamomile because chamomile is manzanilla, but I think tilo is like
Do you know what chamomile reminds me of? It's just one thing and one thing only. Because I had never really heard about it before either. Gwen Stefani.
oh. Do you know that I was in my like
What is it? I've just been on chamomile,
watching the girls with the sex appeal,
and run to my high school. And
all the boys act. I was in my mid-20s before I realized that manzanilla was chamomile.
I had never heard anybody say chamomile because,
Right,
you know,
because it's manzanilla.
nobody in my family's from Orange County.
Right.
Full circle with Gwen Stefani.
That's great.
But no, I'm not.
No, you're not a hot beverage person.
No. So I like everything cold, like a very cold cowie
Yes,
that you're opening
I'm
up
just
now.
opening up now
Yeah.
because I need some sugar.
And I'm like under 3,000. I don't like things cold. I like things.
You almost got a cowie bath, by the way.
I like things ice cold.
that one.
I'm the type that I will put like a soft drink in the freezer when it's almost to the point of freezing, and then I'll put a cup with ice and put that in
Right.
there. So then my ice
And then he'll sit on a glacier while he drinks
absolutely,
it. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Actually, have you heard his new album, Andre 3000?
I can't say that I have.
The one with the flute?
It's a flute album.
It's a flute album and it's really good.
If anybody could do that, it's him.
It's really good.
That's like I always used to say. If anybody could do a yodeling album, it would have been Jewel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe she should do a yodeling and bring on Andre 3000 to do a flute album.
A flute album, yeah.
Yodel flute.
And then the singer could be T-Pain.
Yes.
Did you see T-Pain sing a few months ago?
Well, I saw T-Pain when he won Masked Singer.
Right, but then he had like, was it a Tiny Desk concert? No, he just had a concert, like online, and he can sing.
Oh, no. He can. That's what I'm saying. He won Masked Singer.
But then again, I don't care if he could sing or not because I freaking love T-Pain. I love T-Pain, voice...
vocoder or whatever,
or
auto-tune,
not.
yeah. But isn't it nice to know that he doesn't need it?
He doesn't need it.
Right,
He
right,
doesn't need
right,
it. So,
right.
okay, well, let's go back to Diddy.
Yes,
Or
back
Puffy.
to yes, back.
I never stopped calling him Puffy.
Go
I just want to go on record saying he may have committed, because these are all allegations at this point in time.
Well, now everybody's coming out and saying things were
about him.
hinky. Yeah.
So they may show him to be the worst human being in the world, and that may very well be true.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is true, then I hope justice is served accordingly. I will, however, and whoever wants to come at me can come at me. I will, however, not be canceling his music because I freaking love his music, and I am not going to stop listening to his music, even though he may be a horrible human being.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember me in the Diddy years.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like...
Yes.
I was like, I need to find somebody who could be Mace.
I don't know how we don't have more pictures taken through a fisheye lens.
Like, I freaking love his music, and I know that he's not the world's best rapper. I know he sort of sucks as a rapper, but I was
more of a producer.
I was here for Bad Boy. I was here for every moment of Bad Boy and all the Bad Boy collabs.
Does that company still exist, Bad Boy Records?
Not really.
But is it like bought by somebody else? Or?
No, I don't think it was ever sold, but I can't think of the last Bad Boy production.
Right. That's why I was like, I wonder if it's
You know, some of my favorite songs of his. Song with Keisha Cole. Last night, I couldn't even get an answer. Man, that song is my jam.
I like that song.
And I like all his songs. I love It's All About the Benjamins rock remix.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Little Kim.
Yeah.
Wanna bumble with the bee? Throw a hex on the whole. I mean, come on. How can you cancel that music even if he's a horrible person?
Yeah. It's trafficking charges. Is that what it is?
Oh, it's like human trafficking, and I mean, he hasn't been charged with anything yet.
I mean, well, the feds raided his mansion down here.
They raided his mansion.
I mean, they don't raid your mansion for funsies.
Though I will say this, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this week about it. I always found really odd that, and you could go see it for yourself now. In all of my multiple trips I've taken on the little Miami boat tour that they take you around, like Star Island and Palm Island, that we took not so long ago. But you realize that's like the 20th time I've taken that boat tour, right?
You were actually giving a better tour than the guy who was giving the tour.
Remember that I was telling you, okay, now we're going to see this house,
and we're going to see belong to this one, and
I always found really odd because, you know, for those of you who are not, for you listeners who are not from Miami, so in between Miami Beach and downtown Miami, there's the Bay, and it's absolutely stunning. That's one of the areas that when I drive by, I'm like, wow, we get to live here, right, in Miami. Because on one, you know, again, in one side you have the beach, and the other side, Miami Beach, and the other side you have downtown. To the right of you, you have the cruise port with all the ships there, and then to your left, you have Star Island and Palm Island, which is where like the rich people live. Like, this is not like you're doing well for yourself. This is like big baller celebrities, money, right? And you have Gloria Estefan, Shakira, Ricky Martin, Elizabeth Taylor used to have a house there. Thalia has a house there. Yes. Like all these big
those houses always brought her luck.
Have a house there, and obviously because it's such pristine location, you know, these houses are out and open to the bay, like, you know, because that's
what you pay for.
Well, Puffy has a house there, and his house, which I always noticed, and I was always like, but why? His house is like a freaking fortress.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has you cannot see from the bay. You see the roof of the house because the house is covered by walls, fences, and like shrubs. Which just defeats the purpose of living there, right? Because if you live there, you want to see the water and the bay and the skyline, right? No, like his is completely covered. And I was always a bit like, I bet why? Like, you have such beautiful scenery here, and it's completely covered up. Well, you know, some shady shit was going down there. But you know, the thing with him, and you know, whether it's him or all these other men that have gotten into like really big trouble. Mm-hmm. And I'm, you know that I'm very much an advocate for listening to victims, and whether it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, you have to listen to people. I just think that, and this is in no way, shape, or form a defense or an excuse for his behavior, but I just think that, especially, you know, from the time that he came up in the mid to late 90s, this bad behavior on especially all these men, people didn't care. And
it was almost celebrated. And all these people, you know, they were rich, they were young, they had money, they had power, and all the excess,
and they did all these terrible things, and there was no sense of accountability whatsoever. So when you hear of a Puffy or even an R. Kelly, and the list goes on and on and on, it's shocking in the sense that, like, okay, here's somebody that I grew up listening to, that I love his music, that, you know, so on and so forth. So it's shocking.
Right.
But in the same time, when you stop and think about it, it's not that surprising.
Right, because that's just, and again, I know it's not an excuse, but it's like that was just the times. in a way of like
it was times
that stuff was happening.
But I want to make it very clear that it was the times that people just didn't. There was no accountability.
Do you think it's because of? I mean, and I know you and I have at times railed against the cesspools that can become social media. But I do think social media has a big role to play.
Social media has a big role to play, but I just think we live in a post Me Too world.
No, but Me Too, I think, was able to gain the oxygen that it got because of social media.
And regarding Puffy, there are people who have for years,
been ringing
and you know the thing with Puffy, for me, Puffy to me is a little bit like Bill Cosby in the sense that I really liked, like millions of people, liked Bill Cosby, and I loved the Cosby Show. So, you know, when you grow up liking someone so much, you know, you have a moment of reckoning of like, oh my God, this person kind of sucks as a human being, right? This is
it's that whole separate the art from the artist,
right? This is not like, oh well, they were having a bad day, you know. This is a terrible human being that did awful things, and you have to have that moment that it's like, okay, do I separate the art from the artist? You know, does this change me liking this person's, you know, music or content? And to me, with Puffy, it's a similar one because I personally have always been a really big fan of him and Bad Boy Records and all that. Like I ate that whole Bad Boy, you know, family up. Like
you really did.
I really did. I mean,
Bad Boy for life.
Bad Boy for like anything Bad Boy did. Like you
were there. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I went to the Family Values tour back in the day with all the Bad Boy stars like Puffy, The Lox, Mace, Little Kim. I was totally that.
You were in.
So, you know, with him, it's been several years that people have been like saying, hey, he sucks. Like Cassie threw him under the bus. Danity Kane, like everything that went down with Danity Kane. And those girls have been very vocal about like how abusive he was with them. And so, you know,
it's not like you said, it's shocking but not surprising.
Right. It wasn't one person that maybe has a you know, because you could always say, oh, but it's one person that has a vendetta. No, when it's like a lot of people that are saying this, like there's certainly
where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yes, there's certainly a pattern here. So, I mean, we'll see. He hasn't been charged with anything yet, but I think that anytime your house is raided by the government,
it's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. And again, you know, these powerful men with a lot of money, especially that they were at the height of their fame and money and power at a time where this was not checked upon. There was no accountability. So many people have skeletons in their closets.
Oh, it's an elephant graveyard.
I mean, when you hear of these people like having their moment, it's like, okay, great, justice, but there's a plenty where that came from.
You're just scratching the surface sometimes.
So in other words, maybe by the end of this year, we're probably going to be looking forward to the next series of Now Surviving Puffy.
Yes.
But will it be Surviving Puffy or Surviving Diddy or Surviving Sean?
So that's a good one. Maybe, you know what? It might just be Surviving Bad Boy. Because if they were all part of like the record label, then maybe it'll, and that way they don't have to worry about the name.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Confronting Combs.
Like, we ain't going nowhere. Oh my God, you know a song of his I love? Which that song wasn't a hit. The D, the I, the D, the D, the Y. Don't you remember?
I do remember.
It's Diddy. Old up is Diddy.
I remember that song, but that song wasn't a hit, you're saying?
No, it was a hit, but I don't think it's one of his.
Oh, okay, it's not one of his
biggest
top
hits.
ones. Okay,
that song, the beat of that song, the sample is great.
But yeah. So I wanted to transition because I know you wanted to talk about something as well, and since it's just funny how the brain works, you said, you know, you were talking about Diddy, then you brought up Bill Cosby, which made me think of The Wretched, which made me think of Baltimore, Maryland. And I know you know, we had that horrible tragedy this week. You know, the bridge in Maryland, just that ship just, I mean, plowed right through it. I mean, what I thought was funny is at one point they were like, oh, it's a partial collapse. And I was like,
partial?
I was like, I'm sorry, I don't think you understand what the word partial means.
I mean,
like what was left?
And what made that tragedy even worse was that it was, well, to what you're saying, it was the whole thing.
Right. That's what I was saying. I saw one report like, partial. I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I don't think we're using the same definition of that.
Yeah, that's such a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. And
we're just lucky there weren't more
people. And that's such a horrible way to go. It really, when you see things like that, it's just, it sort of shakes you because, crossing a bridge, what's more mundane and everyday than crossing a bridge? And from what I hear, I think there's 6 people missing, and they're presumed dead at this moment. I think most of them, if not all of them, were the bridge workers.
Oh.
Because they were working on the bridge when that happened. Because if you look at the video, right when the collapse happened, at least on the video, it doesn't show any cars on the bridge. Because even a few seconds before the collapse, you saw cars going
right.
On the bridge. But right at that moment, you don't see any. Maybe there were, but they did recover cars from the bay.
Yeah, but they were saying that they think it's from the people who are missing.
Right, because there was a concrete truck.
Yeah.
But that's because they were working on the bridge. And that they say that all the people that fell with the bridge, that were working on the bridge, were all immigrants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, they were working on the bridge.
Yeah, working, yeah.
And
capital W.
I will say this, and our hearts and thoughts go out to.
It's a tragedy
to the families involved and just everybody involved, right? Because this is a huge catastrophic event that not only has,
and that bridge was a major artery,
right? It has a loss of life, but it was a major artery to the Baltimore port. And what I actually did not know is that most cars that are imported to the United States enter through Baltimore.
Really?
Yes. When I mean a large percentage, I mean 90%.
That's so random.
They enter through Baltimore. I'm sorry. Every time I say Baltimore,
you want to say Maryland.
I want to say Baltimore. I'm sorry, people. This is from our favorite episode of
The Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show, when Vanessa goes see the Wretched in Baltimore, Maryland. Anyway, they enter through Baltimore. Now they've talked about the economic effects that this could have widespread on the American economy because we didn't need that.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah.
But what I will say about it is this, and again, it's a tragedy, and our hearts and thoughts go out to everybody affected in this. I sent a text to our group text. So we, like many people, I have a text chain going on with my closest friends, which I don't participate in. Right? I never participate.
Yes, much to everyone's annoyance.
I never,
because we all make plans on it, and then he'll just be like, "Wait, what are we doing tomorrow?
What are we doing tomorrow?"
What's happening?
I don't know.
People are coming to my house.
I don't have time for the nonsense of the group chat. But anyway, and you're so busy as well. I don't know how you have you're number one on that group chat.
I keep an eye on it just to scan for anything that is relevant.
Clearly
to the day.
You do, because you're the moderator practically. But anyway, where I'm going with this, I even had sent in our group chat among my friends, I had even said, "Hey, have you checked the comments?" This wasn't the Only in Dade post about the bridge fall. Have you checked the comments on there? It just, and again, it has nothing to do with Only in Dade. We love Only in Dade. We know the people who run the page.
It's the comments section.
We love them. We love what the page goes. So it's nothing against them.
It keeps us very informed.
But the comment section, Only in Dade posted this as a news article. They didn't weigh anything in. They posted this as a straight news article. The comments were just disgusting of people with all these conspiracy theories about the bridge, that it was done on purpose, that it's because it's in election years, people trying to politicize the bridge. It's all these comments of these horrible people, because that's what they are. They're awful people making these inappropriate, rude comments, and there is a major loss of life. And your first thought or your first comment was not, hey, this is such a tragedy, we're thinking about those we lost, or hey, this is such a terrible thing that happened, our thoughts and prayers goes out to these people. No, rather what you wanted to go online and say was all this crap and all these conspiracy theories and all this bullshit. It's like I'm so over these like swarm of people in these comment sections, just these awful human beings, because that's what they are. They're awful human beings that even in something like this that is a tragedy, that they can't muster a sense of compassion just to put something, or maybe not even put something at all, right?
You don't have to comment.
That it's like, you know what? Shame on all of you. Just shame on all of you that you feel that you can make even the worst tragedy a platform for whatever your stupid political stance is, or for whatever it is that you have to say. It's really disgusting. And that's why I tell you all the time, on our page, I mean, obviously our page is not as big as Only in Dade,
you
so
can't moderate the same way.
We can't moderate. I mean, a page the size of Only in Dade, I mean, they would have to have like moderators to go through the comments, right? We don't have a tolerance for that. If you're going to put something nasty on our page, especially if you don't follow us, you're either going to get deleted, you're going to get blocked, or you're going to hear from us, because there has to be accountability somewhere. Right. And it's just, it was so sad to see this, like all these people with these stupid conspiracy theories, just, they couldn't just say, what a tragedy, this was horrible, or just, as I said, not say anything at all.
You don't have to comment on everything, boys and girls. That is, what's the old saying? If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all, right?
I think a lot of people have forgotten that
People have forgotten that saying, if they've even learned it at this point. Yeah. It's just sad. And yeah, it's, again, look, social media, it is what it is. Like we just said earlier, right? Social media has its good, right? Because it's allowed people to come out, with their voices, like with the Me Too movement, and holding people accountable for things, right? But at the same time, it's just brought out people who are like these trolls. Like I was telling you the other day, unfortunately, it was also Only in Dade. There was this horrible incident where it was like a double murder suicide type situation. And, Only in Dade, again, thankfully, I will say thankfully, because I drove by that building as something was happening, lots of cop cars. I didn't know what was happening. I was able to go to them and find out what had happened, right? And the story was there. But again, I made the mistake of going to the comment section, and there was people who were now arguing about, that's not where that is. That's on this location. No, you're wrong. That's at this location. No, you're all wrong. It's like, guys, who cares? Mm-hmm. Like, the point here is not whether it's on, first and second or second and third. It's the loss of human life. And then there's another troll who went on there and was like, oh, I'm sure this has to do with infidelity. And it's like, and if it does, this is the answer? Like, why? Why do you feel the need? Why?
And I'm sure there were people who was like,
there were people who were saying like, this is what happens during spring break, and it's like, but this is
Biden's America, or this is Trump's. Trump did this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh my God, stop it! Like, stop it!
Stop it! Just again, you don't have to comment on every blessed thing.
I can't. with
I can't. Humanity.
I can't. I mean, let's think about something happy again. Like, I know, Nelly Furtado's.
I know. Like, let's go back to thinking about Nelly Furtado's butt.
How great she looked at the Juno Awards.
Phenomenal. Like, I watched it like on a loop. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, you know what? She looks fantastic. And again, she's always been cute. She's always been sexy. But it's just like, go on, Nelly Furtado.
Right. But now, like we're talking about Nelly Furtado again in the same episode. She's like our age, actually.
I was gonna say,
she's like our age. She's had like a couple of kids.
She's had at least 2 kids, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm banging, I'm good.
I got curves,
curves, and I'm loving them, and I'm Canadian and Portuguese, and I'm like a bird.
Ella con tantas cubas y yo sin freno. Y Cuba canadiense.
I'm like a bird, always flying.
Then she left and she turned off the lights.
That wasn't my favorite song of hers,
but that's what launched her.
No, absolutely. But
then she collabed with Missy Elliott.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you collab with Missy Elliott, you know it's going to be fire.
And then she offered us un pozuelo de frijoles negro in that video.
Oh, yeah.
Es un caldero de frijoles negros.
You know what song I never liked? Never. I never liked that song La Tortura by Shakira and Alejandro Sanz, which is quite something because I
really
love
like both of them.
I love both of them.
Yeah.
Especially Alejandro Sanz. Like those are probably two of my favorite, if not my two favorite Spanish singers.
Is it because you don't like to see Shakira dancing under a glass coffee table?
That I didn't care for that song. And I remember that song came out during the MySpace era.
Oh wow, you're right.
Yeah, and just like every single page and profile you will go to had that video. Whatever. I still miss MySpace.
I know you do.
I do.
I know. We were all coders for a minute. We didn't know it. We didn't know we were, but we were.
Do you remember what my MySpace page had?
Like when you say what do you?
Well, it had two main things that I never took off. I had
one of them was something about the Matrix.
No.
Something about Mariah.
No.
Okay, and then that's 2 for 2.
It had a banner of Yankee Stadium. And then it had under it, the banner, it had like 5 logos of the like 5 most recent Olympic Games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the song I had forever as my song when you would go to my MySpace profile was The Way I Are by Timbaland. Speaking of Timbaland.
There you go. Timbaland, not Magoo.
Okay, but The Way I Are was a pretty badass song.
That's a great song. I'm not debating this.
That was like my song forever.
I couldn't even tell you what my MySpace looked like.
I don't know, something of Britney,
who knows?
Overprotected.
No, not that song.
Outrageous.
Definitely not.
Why not outrageous?
Wait, which one am I thinking of? No, I'm thinking of Overprotective because I hated the Overprotected single version.
The like R&B one.
Yeah, it just didn't work for me.
It didn't work for you.
No.
Wow, you chucked down that kawi.
I was very, very thirsty, and I needed the little bump
of lemon lime.
Yes,
freshness.
lemon lime goodness.
So yeah. Anyway, so speaking of more tragic things,
yeah.
Do you have an uplifting topic you want to talk about?
I do not really have. I was just looking at it because I was like, maybe I have something a little more happy-go-lucky, and I don't think I do. So,
I mean, do you want to talk about like balloons for a little bit?
You know what? I think whenever things get too heavy,
balloons are messing in the environment.
Whenever things get too heavy this episode, let's just keep talking about Nelly Furtado.
No, that or okay. What's your favorite? Like, seriously, if you have to pick one ice cream, what would it be?
Okay, wait. Ice cream flavor or like novelty ice cream thing from an ice cream truck?
Flavor, anything.
This is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
This is what we're doing, you listeners, because we want to talk about
we didn't have anything happy to talk
rather than just misery. Which I still have a couple of more topics that are all misery related. But this is Pero, let me tell you, where we will take even the hardest subjects, but fill it in with happy moments.
It's all about the gaps.
All about the gaps.
Yeah, filling in the gaps with happy moments. Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I went to London. A very good friend of ours was like, listen, when you get to London, make sure to mind the gap. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oye, the moment I got to London,
mind the gap.
Mind the gap.
I'm still thinking about what.
Okay, so my favorite ice cream. Okay. So the problem I have at Cold Stone is the same problem I have at Sandwich. Yeah. That I tell you at Sandwich, I'm like, I've been to Sandwich 1,000 times. We love Danny and Rosa. They got our last kawi last week. And I can't deviate from the traditional Cuban sandwich. Right. Even though I know their other stuff is fire. Right.
But you know that's so damn good.
And I've gone and I'm like, I'm going to have the pan con bistec. I'm going to have the pan con bistec. I'm going to have the pan con bistec until the moment they take my order. I'm like, I'll have the Cuban sandwich. So the same thing happens to me at Cold Stone, which is my favorite ice cream. I know it's a corporation. I know franchise, whatever.
Just deal with it.
Deal with it. Yeah. I can't order anything other than the sweet cream. I can't. And I'm that asshole that will go and be like, can I try the cheesecake? Can I try the birthday batter? Can I try that blue thing you have? Can I try the apple and
You sample everything.
I sample everything. I'm like, I get rico with that cheesecake and all that. But I'll have the sweet cream. Sweet cream with either chocolate shavings or Kit Kat. I also don't like to have too many toppings because I don't want it to overbear. Like, I don't want it to like take away like
you want to taste the sweet cream, right?
Yeah. Right. I can't. Like, I love the sweet cream. I can eat a gallon of that shit. I really can. I really, really can. Of the sweet cream. I like a good, and this could be grocery store bought pralines and the praline one.
Cream.
A good one is good. I'm not really a chocolate person. A good strawberry ice cream is always good.
I could do like a Moose Tracks.
What's a Moose Track?
So Moose Tracks is...
Oh, it's not a Publix special edition one?
I don't know if it's Publix only, but it's like a vanilla ice cream with like chocolate swirls and then like drizzled in with like little mini peanut butter cups type of things.
Okay. I mean, obviously the Mickey ice cream makes me happy.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the one that
I like the Nestle. I also
Nestle
like the
cone.
It's a Kadoozy. I haven't had one of those in a while.
I can't remember the last time I had.
I remember the last time I had it because it's a Kadoozy.
Well, it must have been at Disney.
It was 2017 at Epcot Center.
Okay, well there you go.
In July.
Yeah, I haven't had it. Wow, I can't remember. Again, I cannot remember the last time I had it. It's a Kadoozy. Also, I can't remember the last time we've said it's a Kadoozy this many times.
More than what we're seeing. It's a Kadoozy now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Kadoozy.
Yeah. I like those a lot too. You know what I've always found disgusting?
What?
The fudge pops.
Oh, like the duro frio.
That's an Americano thing.
The duro frio.
I'm sorry. That's
an
Americano thing.
That's one of those things that like as a kid I liked it because as a kid you like everything, but I'm not a fan of like popsicles in general.
Oh, I like.
We had this conversation.
I
the
like
other day.
popsicles. I just don't like grape popsicles.
Why do they always make the grape popsicles out of the purple grapes and never the green?
I've never had grape juice.
You've never had grape juice?
No, I don't like grape juice.
Then how do you know?
The only thing...
I'm sorry. That was okay. You just contradicted yourself. Mm-hmm. You said I've never had grape juice. I don't like grape juice. How do you know you don't like grape juice if you've never had grape juice?
I've tried it.
Okay,
but I don't like that purple shit. That's another Americano thing.
Grape juice.
What Cubans do you know drink grape juice?
No, we just drink wine.
Right.
No, I'm saying we cut to the chase.
You drink that Carlos Rossi wine. You know which one? The one that comes in the little...
That has that little acita that nobody can use.
That's what all like everybody would bring. I mean,
Carlos Rossi.
And I'm like, that shit, that's like freaking Arbor Mist.
It wishes.
It's almost here.
You mean?
Yep. Our favorite tradition is back. The fair. It starts March 14th through April 7th.
Yes. Okay, and this year's theme is Space Venture. And I've seen the new ride called the X-Drive. Bro, that thing is like the kamikaze on steroids.
Oh yeah, that's pretty insane. And of course, there's the exhibits and new shows this year like the Amazing Bubble Factory and Space Adventure Thrill Show.
Okay. Rides, exhibits, shows. I mean, that's all good, but we know what our pedo primos want to hear about.
The food. Dale, what can we look forward to?
Okay, are you ready? Korean corn dog, cinnamon roll sundae, banana cream pie nachos, elote sundae, Angela's pineapple and guava pizza, cheeseburger on a stick, buffalo chicken fries, and more.
Coño. Wow. Oh yeah, new rides, shows, and food. Visit fairexpo.com to get entrance and ride tickets. Then enjoy them all at the fair from March 14th through April 7th, okay? You know we gotta say it. Be there, the fair. You know, ice cream sandwiches, I have them for nostalgic reasons. Like my grandmother used to always buy me one from the ice cream man. Because I don't know about you. Did you have an ice cream man growing up?
Of course.
Because we did. We had an ice cream man.
Yes.
Like in suburban Kendall. Like,
hell yeah.
That he would come every day.
Yeah. Like,
and I remember
running after the ice cream man.
I remember that for a while there was like another person coming and I'm like, who are you?
Oh yeah. There was those two ice cream trucks. One was the good one and the other one was like no.
Yeah. No, we always had the one guy. I'm looking at him right now. But there was a time, as I said, that there would be another one that would come, and I'm like, "Who are you? And why are you coming to my neighborhood?"
I haven't seen an ice cream truck in years.
Does that even exist?
I'm curious.
I don't think my kid knows what an ice cream truck is.
Oh, that just made me so sad.
Yeah,
there's nothing more fun than hearing the little be like, "Oh my god, ice cream man, give me money!" And then you know you run outside. Yeah. Oh, now I want to find an ice cream truck.
Although that changes when you live in Hialeah.
Well, it's the afilador.
Because in Hialeah, you'll hear the ding, 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 ding. It's like ice cream. It's like, no, it's afilador. And it's like, oh no.
But maybe he's got ice cream in there too.
The afilador does not have ice cream. He doesn't have refrigeration.
Oh, that's true. He doesn't need it. That's true.
You still haven't answered what your favorite ice cream is.
I said Moose Tracks could be. I don't know.
That's such a you answer.
I don't know what my favorite is.
That's such a you answer. Like, oh, Moose Tracks is my favorite ice cream.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I cannot settle on a favorite.
Moose Tracks with my cup of Joe. Yeah.
Don't hate just because I knew a phrase you didn't.
Whatever. The Moose Tracks are my favorite. Yeah. That's like saying, oh, my favorite ice cream is like candy cane ice cream. It's like, no, it's not. Shut up.
Maybe it is.
No, it's not.
If Dolly Parton said it, I believe her.
Okay, maybe Dolly Parton. Can we go have Cold Stone now? I love Cold Stone. Cold Stone sponsor this podcast.
We should maybe we can get some tomorrow.
Okay. You could bring some.
I'm actually trying to think if there's one on the way here.
There is. There was one on.
No, on the way from my house.
Oh well, you just have to go a few more blocks anyway. So, okay, do you want to move on now?
Yes. So now tragedy. now that we've gone from ice cream.
You know what's really good? I remember the first time in my life that I had a croissant.
I don't.
It was when Extra opened. Down here in Miami, when Extra opened in
all the places I thought you were going to say it was not going to be Extra.
Well, where do you think in the mid to late 80s, where do you think my parents were? My parents were going to a French cafe.
No, I get it, but my mind didn't even register Extra was going to be.
Do you remember the size of Extra's bakery?
I do.
It was huge.
It was fucking huge, that thing was.
And I remember the first time I had a croissant. And then for some reason, I don't know what, these are the things like when you're a kid that your parents do. Again, my parents, this was in the 80s. So it was my parents' first 10 years in the United States. It was the training years.
That's right.
My mom used to put the croissants in the microwave because I think that what happened was her logic was, okay, we toast bread.
Right.
This doesn't fit in the toaster.
I have to warm it up somewhere.
I have to warm it up somehow. So I'll put it in the microwave.
And this was before panini presses.
Do you think that we had a panini press?
This is why I'm saying no. But even I'm actually giving your family the benefit of the doubt. This was before panini presses was even a thing that people just had at their house. So it wasn't even an option.
A panini press is still something my parents don't have in their house. But anyway,
a George Foreman wasn't even an option.
We did have a George Foreman. Yeah, it was the 90s. Yeah, but in the 90s, they were past their training years.
Right.
They had already adjusted a bit.
Okay.
Anyway, so she would put have you put a croissant in a microwave?
I don't think I have.
It's horrible. A croissant is like 50% butter.
Oh no.
And it's not toasting it, it's not making it crunchier.
It's just
floppy
ruining
mess. And I remember the first time, I'm like, what is this delicious thing?
It's so flaky and crusty.
And buttery. And this is so much better than our day-old Cuban bread.
Well, yeah, day-old Cuban bread is a fucking weapon. Christ.
You know what I used to do? Because I did grow up in my parents' house. They were very traditional in the sense that they always got a Cuban bread every morning. I was always that kid that would... Because I didn't like the hard side.
So you would reach in and sacaba la masa.
La masa, and then it was just a shell.
So you and my sister.
Yeah. And sometimes I would go overboard. I'm like, oh shit, I did that to 80% of the bread.
Yeah. That's my sister.
So all that's left is the outer coating.
That's my sister. She'll do the exact same thing. We would literally buy a loaf just for her. So that she can just, dig in and pull it out.
That's another thing. I don't like crunchy bread. I don't like toasted bread. When have you ever seen me comer una tostada?
Well, no, but I've seen you have a sandwich at a restaurant.
If the sandwich comes toasted,
right.
I'm not gonna be like, "Hi, can you not toast my bread?" But when I go to Subway, I'm like, "No, don't toast my bread."
Well, that's true.
Yeah, it's Subway's different because they obliterate the bread. They blast that.
They put it in the sun.
But I don't like toasted bread either.
You don't have toast?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll toast a croissant. I'm sorry, a bagel.
Okay. All right. Because it helps spread the cream cheese.
Yeah, but not no. I don't like toasted things either.
No. There's no warmth in your meals.
I'm not. There isn't. No. You know what's funny? No. So you know that I love me a good salad, and it's not even for health reasons. I just like salad. Yeah. And I would remember my grandmother would always be like, "Ay, tú siempre estás comiendo cosas frías. Eso no es bueno para el estómago." I'm like, I think 80% of what I eat is cold.
You know what? I think that's generational because my grandmother
will tell you the same thing.
No, my grandmother hated eating anything cold.
Yeah.
Like I think my grandmother didn't eat like a sandwich until she was 84.
Because in Cuba, you gotta eat hot because you don't know what you're gonna eat.
I think it's a generational thing. Like my grandmother, like a sandwich to her was just like, I don't understand why you're even bothering with that.
Okay. Let's pivot because we have a few more things to talk about.
We do.
But that was a good segue. I hope
that
our
was a good
listeners.
segue.
I hope you guys laughed.
Yes, and now you're going to not laugh. I'm
So
sure,
for Christmas, you could send Ishmael some moose truck ice cream
Yes.
because apparently what's your favorite type of ice cream? Moose trucks.
You know what? I'll be happy if I get moose trucks.
Whatever. Go ride a moose. Have you ever seen the size of a moose in person?
I have not, but you know what? Who probably has?
Who?
Nelly Furtado, because they're from Canada.
The moose is the size of a motorhome. Oh my god! I saw a moose one time. Was it Yosemite? I was in a national park.
Not tropical.
No, it was a national park, and I was like, "Oh, those things are the size of a school bus." Like, do you know how tall they are?
They're huge.
They're so tall. Like, I don't know why I thought they were like the size of a cow. Like
No, but no, I get it. I get why you would think that because I feel like that's the closest like comparison animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, is that a moose? Oh my god! What is that enormity? All right, because
No. I just love how you're like, is that a moose? What else could it be?
Well, I mean, what are you going to be like? Oh, look at the mooses or the moose eye. Like, you're from Florida, man. Like, how many mooses have you seen?
Oh, I have it. Well, I've seen them in cartoons.
You have never seen a moose?
Not in person. No, I've never seen a moose.
It's like, oh my god. Is that a dinosaur? What is that? It's a moose.
Dinosaur.
You're not used to seeing that enormous thing.
I was like, and then the antlers too.
I was like, do I run? Do I hide?
Do mooses charge?
I don't know.
Well, you're the moose expert today.
Well, you know what? I don't know because my whole life I thought ostriches stuck their head in the ground and they don't.
We know
so
nothing.
Who knows what mooses do?
We know nothing.
Or moose eye. Like
moose probably like use typewriters for all we know.
I'm not kidding. They're the size of a motorhome. Okay, this has gone off the rails.
God, as we are wont to do.
This has gone off the rails. I hope you listeners up at Oprimos enjoyed this nonsense.
Yes, they're definitely laughing, and they learned that ostriches don't put their head in the ground,
And that mooses are the size
that mooses are a motorhome.
They're like 15 feet tall. I am not kidding. Like, you could walk under a moose. I'm not kidding. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm over 6 feet tall. I could comfortably walk under a moose. That's how big they are.
I want that to be a t-shirt. I could comfortably walk under a moose.
Okay, listeners, since so many of you reach out to us and send us DMs about like our topic, how many of you have seen a moose?
And how many of you have comfortably walked under one?
And if you have seen a moose, do you have pictures with such a moose that you could give us? Okay, just think about this. I photograph every moment of my life, right? And I didn't photograph my encounter with the moose.
Were you scared the flash would set it off?
I was just, I didn't know what to do. I was like, it's a moose. Do I take pictures? Do I run? Do I hide? Do I breathe? Like, what do I do? Like,
I can't breathe right now.
Okay. Composure. Anyway.
Lord.
So something I did want to bring up because I saw this.
So this is going to be a hard left turn.
So I saw this because I have two more topics I want to talk about, and this one is the least bad one.
Okay.
Actually, this one's not bad at all. So I actually saw something on that made the news this week. Mm-hmm. So the United States Census Bureau is going to have some revisions, I guess, in their next census, which would be 2030. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Which will be 2030. One of the revisions that the next census is going to have, after much debate and research, and they even went took this through focus groups, and there was a considerable amount of research and work done about this. So right now, where it stands in the census, there is a place for you to put your race and then your ethnicity. But what they found was, especially with the Hispanic and Latin community, is that a lot of people would put other or of multiple races. So in part because of that, and also the Asian community, North African community, and I also believe the Middle Eastern community. Yeah. So it's not just Latins. The two sort of prong question is going to be one general question. So you could put black, white, but it's also going to include Hispanic and Latin. And when I read this, I have to say that for me, I was one of those people, because right now where it stood, when it asked you for race, you had to pick from white, black or African American, right, Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, Asian or Alaskan Native.
Right.
And I never felt comfortable with answering as any of those five. So I don't know if I actually did this in the census, but in similar situations, I've always felt uncomfortable tying myself to any one of those. So I would always put either other, or I would put mixed or not mixed, but of other race. So I just found it really interesting that the Census Bureau actually got enough feedback to change this like very important question in terms of categorizing people, that now Hispanic and Latino is going to be one of those so-called races that you can pick from in the census. And obviously there's some people that are very for that. There are some people that are very against it. I'm not either for it or against it. I could just speak that from my own personal experience. I always felt very odd. And that's a very personal thing. Right. I always felt, it doesn't have a right or wrong answer, I believe, but I always felt very uncomfortable putting white, because I mean, I'm certainly not the other ones. I'm not black or Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, Asian or Native American.
Right.
But I always felt very uncomfortable putting white, because I don't feel white. I don't consider myself white. I certainly culturally am not. So I always felt very like, is this what I'm supposed to put? And apparently a lot of people felt that way too. So hence they're doing these revisions to it. And the United States Census Bureau has done revisions since it exists. It's been revising things
just
too.
just the addition of Hispanic, it was a revision.
But these are the first revisions they do in over 25 years. I think the last revision they did was in 1997. So now, as I said, they're going to revise the United States Census Bureau to include Latin and Hispanic as a race, whereas before it was you're either white, black, Native American, Asian, Pacific Islander, and then your ethnicity was Latino, so on and so forth. Whereas now that question is going to be one question. So what do you feel about this? Do you think this is something that is accurate? Because again, a lot of especially Latin people, I mean, and there's other people that have felt similar to it, but obviously we could speak to it as Latin, Latinos. You know, a lot of Latin people felt very similar to me. They felt very uncomfortable putting white. Also, does this account for Afro-Latinos? Because, you know,
that was actually my first thought.
That's a debate that, you know, we don't take because we're not Afro-Latino, so we don't want to speak on behalf of anybody who is. But that's something that, you know, a lot of times there is a bit of a disconnect between, you know, Latin, you know, Afro-Latinos and African Americans, you know, and again, that's a conversation for, you know, them to have.
Cultural,
but you know, how do you feel about this whole categorization?
I think it might be an instance of its heart being in the right place, but I don't know if it's the solution. And I look, anytime you're talking about, you know, race as a whole, it gets a little tricky. But for instance, I don't think of it as the Latino race. You know what I mean? I think it's a culture. So I don't know if putting it, if throwing everything under just the heading of race makes sense, just from a
I think they're lumping it as race ethnicity, whereas before it was race then ethnicity.
So it's okay. So basically, they're taking it from two sections and putting it into one.
Right, because before the question was, what is your race? White, black, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Asian, or Alaskan Native? And then after you answered that question, there was an ethnicity question, which there you, in our case, you would put that you were Latino.
Right.
Whereas now it's going to be one question.
Okay, so it's just
which
one.
Latino, Hispanic Latino is included in that, in those several. And in addition to it.
And you can select more than one.
You can select more than one. So, and in addition to it, I mean, we're talking about it in reference to Latino because we're Latin,
right.
But there's also going to be revisions where it's going to say Middle Eastern and North African because, you know, from what I was reading, because I read several articles about this, like North African is like Egypt, Morocco, you know, that whole area of Africa, which is very different than more mid Africa and Southern Africa. So, you know, different people and different groups of people also have their own, you know, issues or own questions about this concerns as well. So, you know, I think that this is one of those things that, like, you know, the point of the census is to categorize people and put certain people in a box and label people for better, for worse. And I think the problem with that, that inherently is flawed.
You're never going to have the right answer.
You're never going to have the right answer.
That's what I mean by, like, this seems like one of those things that's heart is in the right place, but I don't necessarily think is the end answer.
Have you, though?
I've never felt like you.
I've said this to you many years. For years, I've said this. Yeah. There was times that I would put other because I just don't.
I always put white, Hispanic.
So you've never had a problem like putting white. Even if you did not have a follow-up question asking your ethnicity. So if
I didn't have the option.
If the option is, which is the current option in the census, previous to these revisions. So again, the 5 in terms of race currently in the census is white, black or African American, Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, Asian, and Alaskan Native.
Right.
So if
By default,
if it's those 5, you feel comfortable putting white.
By default, I'm not the other 4.
Right.
I mean,
so that's my struggle as well. I wasn't the other 4, but I didn't feel white either. I don't consider myself white. So I and that is how I feel, and nobody could tell me I feel differently.
I'm not here to convince you one way or the other.
That's a personal thing. So yes, if I had to pick among those 5, I would put white. But I never, like, I would. That's why sometimes I would just either not answer it or put other, because you know how these things are. They're very like, you must pick one, and it's like, but I don't want to pick one. Like,
you cannot proceed if you don't pick one,
because that's not how I feel. And then in the United States, especially, white means something very different than in Cuba or in other countries.
This is also true.
Right, and that has that's a huge component to it,
right?
Because in other countries, white, black is just the color of your skin, but it's you both have the same culture,
right? And I think that's where I'm applying it, right? I'm approaching it from the perspective of, like, color of skin, because you're asking me what my culture is with the ethnicity question. So it's like, okay, I'm telling you, I'm like, yeah, I'm this thing, and if we're going by skin color, again, I'm not black, I'm not Pacific Islander, I'm not Asian, you know what I mean? So okay, yes, it's white.
Right. I personally felt very uncomfortable sometimes answering like that, because for me, it didn't make any sense. It still doesn't. And again, this stuff doesn't have right or wrong answers, because it doesn't have right or wrong answers, and it's never going to have the right answer.
Right. Correct. Because it's such a personal thing. After a certain point, it is a personal feeling, you know? Yeah. Again, somebody can feel, you know, completely Latin, or, you know, and maybe not self-identify on paper as, you know, Afro-Latin or whatever, because, you know, maybe for some people, it's like the minute you put Afro, it's African American, which has culturally a total different significance than, you know, if you're Dominican or so. It's
very layered.
It's very layered. You know, you can't just say, like, well, here's your 10 options and that's all you've got. it's almost like, well, within these options that you're giving me, this is what I can answer.
Right. And with this new methodology that they're going to have in the next census, what I was reading was that there were many people who actually were Afro-Latino who were like concerned because you can now put that you're Latino and not white, but that doesn't make you Afro-Latino.
That is true.
Right. So now are they counting?
How are they counting it?
How are they counting it?
Right. Right. Again, I come back to my thing of the heart's in the right place. I think this is a nice step in the right direction. I just don't know that it's the answer that they were hoping it would be.
Yeah. All this makes me very uncomfortable. It really does. It makes me very uncomfortable because like it's just so hard to define. And I understand why a census exists. Right. I understand it completely from a logical sense, and in terms of whether it's funding or awareness or data, just data.
Just data. You want to know
that data is very important in
order
to
know what your population is made up of.
Data is very important in order to move ahead and to help certain communities or certain from an economic level. Community needs. I get all that completely, but for me, it's something I've always struggled with, and it's always made me very uncomfortable. Always.
I'm okay with picking white.
You white supremacist.
Well, you know me. I buy Clorox by the gallon.
Is that what you buy when you're eating your moose track?
I do. Yes. Yes. That's why I have to wear it and get the bleach because all that chocolate on the white.
Oh my God. I love when where was I the other day that somebody was eating barbecue ribs and I'm like, you're wearing a white crisp linen shirt. Like, I mean, it just couldn't get any like white linen shirt.
Like you're just waiting to be
it wasn't
a
even
laundry
like
detergent commercial.
Yes. It was like, but did you think this was a good idea? Like,
you did not think this through at all.
Or people that go eat shrimp scampi with a white linen shirt.
So I think the takeaway here is don't wear a white linen shirt if you're going to go out to dinner.
Oh, you know what? We've been talking all these things and we have totally failed that this weekend is Easter.
It is Easter. It is Easter.
Do you like the Cadbury eggs?
I do not.
No. Okay, so do you... Okay, we're going to go with the theme, all right?
Okay.
Do you know how I like my Cadbury eggs? And I love them.
Frozen.
Yep.
I mean, given that we've only talked about you eating things
I actually don't put them in the freezer. I put them in the fridge, but I like when the inside is solid.
Okay, I don't like Cadbury eggs.
How can you not like Cadbury eggs?
Because I've never. Okay, first of all, I never thought to put them in the fridge, and I don't like. It just weirds me out the yolk, but it's chocolate, but it's candy. I'm not a fan.
I love Cadbury eggs.
Not a fan.
Oh my God, I could like eat that little box of like 6 of them from the fridge. Do you know what's really good frozen? I think I've had you eat it frozen. The Entenmann's Devil's Food Donuts.
Oh, yes, you have.
The chocolate donuts. Listeners.
They're very good. Very, very
Get
good.
those chocolate donuts, the ones from
not
Entenmann.
the frost, not the ones that are just frosted. It has to be the chocolate.
The chocolate donuts. Yeah. No, the ones that are vanilla inside too or cake inside, but just frosted with chocolate. Okay. Put them in the freezer. You don't have to leave them overnight. Just put them in the freezer for an hour. Yeah. So I'm going to go dad me. You could thank me later. Send your thanks to, pero let me tell you.
Send us Entenmann's Donuts.
Yes. It will rock your... It's so good. It's so good.
It is very good. You should just start like a YouTube channel of like how to eat frozen things.
I don't eat frozen things. I just eat really cold things.
Really cold things.
You know what's really good frozen? Orange juice.
Oh, that is true.
Like right when it's about to freeze.
That is very good. Like almost a slushy.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. And I mean, then there's like the best thing that's ever frozen. That's a Capri Sun.
Capri Suns are good.
Frozen? Yeah.
I have not had a Capri Sun in forever.
When I used to get Capri Suns as a kid, that my mom would bring me the box, I just put the whole damn box in the freezer. like don't leave that outside. And
why bother?
And el gabinete, pon eso congelado.
Why bother?
I'm like, don't ask. Just put it congelado.
You're not going to drink it. I am. All right. So let's just do as I say.
I've told you, my dream is to get for my house, and I should just get it, the hospital ice machine. I may not leave the house once I have that.
Yeah, we need to never get it for you.
I just may not leave.
No.
Because, I mean, that ice... Okay, don't tell me that hospital ice doesn't make a soda taste better.
I'm not an ice connoisseur like you are. So to me, ice is just ice.
No, it's not.
Again, like I said, I am not an ice
¿Tú crees que
connoisseur
un
like
hielo de la tártara del congelador is the same than, freaking... Okay, no, seriously. You don't think that hospital ice makes...
I don't have an opinion on it.
Oh my God, who are you?
I don't care about ice.
How can you not care about ice?
I just don't.
But it's so good.
Ice for me is just something to cool my drink, and that's it.
Okay. Wow. You never really know a person.
It's true. It's true. It's nice though to know that at this point in our friendship, there's still new layers to us.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's the positive takeaway.
Absolutely.
Here.
I mean, you like ice chips.
No.
Do you even care about ice sculptures?
I mean, I do, but I'm not going to eat them.
Do you like ice skating?
I do enjoy ice skating. I'm not good at it, but I enjoy ice skating.
I broke my pubic bone ice skating when I was 19. You were there. I literally fell on my ass at the Sunrise Ice Skating Center.
Yes, you did.
Sunrise.
Well, yes. But yes, that's the name would imply.
Here in Florida.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so something I did want to bring up. This was actually what I wanted to bring up earlier before we started speaking about ice cream.
Yeah, an hour in, and now we're at the real topic.
So I actually finished watching, and it's been out for a few weeks now, the documentary or 4-part docuseries called Quiet on the Set about Nickelodeon, the reign of terror at Nickelodeon. And I have to tell you that I had heard that it was bad, but it's really bad. It's really, really bad. And, I tried to see it with an open mind and not so much based on what other people were saying. I was like, okay, I want to see it on my own and see it, by my own merits and see what's going on here. And I have to tell you that it was even worse than what I initially thought, because a lot of these shows that they're talking about in terms of like the late 90s and early 2000s, I remember when these shows came out, like we were already past the Nickelodeon age. Yeah. But I was still young enough that I watched a lot of these shows, or at least I watched them sporadically.
We had knowledge of them, yeah.
And we were still really young when these shows came out. We were not like 12, but we were still young. And I guess even though we were maybe in our late teens, early 20s, we still didn't have sort of that experience of just being older, that we saw things, the way they were. And a lot of these skits now, as somebody older, yes, a lot of these skits were really inappropriate. The documentary starts off with this skit that Ariana Grande did, when she played Cat Valentine in
Sam and
Cat with a potato. That it's terrible. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. Like that scene. And you look at it now and it's like, okay, how did anybody, first of all, think this was appropriate? And secondly, Nickelodeon is a huge corporation.
It's a Viacom company.
It's a huge entity. How did nobody in those ranks say, hey, this is not appropriate? And I'm giving the Ariana Grande example because that's like the first big one that they put in the documentary, and she's a really big name. But just everything that went on, from like the fact that they had all this content that had very explicit sexual innuendos that was being performed by children, to the fact that they had more than one pedophile on the payroll, to the fact that Dan Schneider, who was the executive producer of all these shows, was practically he sounds like he was a monster, as a reign of terror, like terrorizing all these people. And then finally the whole thing with Drake Bell, that he was molested and sexually abused by one of the people on staff, and this went on like it was ignored. It was not like taken care of. So it wasn't like there was one instance where maybe the company didn't handle it correctly. It was a continued and systematic abuse of these children in every way, and in abuse, abuse takes very different forms.
In the broad term,
there was abuse in how they were treated, abuse in the content they were filming, and then sexual abuse. So it's just incredible and unbelievable how this happened with such a large entertainment media entity like Nickelodeon,
and as long as it happened,
and it went on for years, right? So again, it's not like, okay, it was one instance
or two shows
that it fell through the cracks and there wasn't proper surveillance, and this unfortunately happened. No, this happened for many years, and I saw it and I was shocked. It was so much worse than I had heard and thought, and had seen online. It's just absolutely awful. I mean, I think you should watch it.
I've been meaning to watch it. It's just one of those things where it's like every time I sit down to watch it, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Am I really because you know going in what you're going to encounter, right? At this point, especially, and it's like, am I in the place, right, mentally to sit and watch 4 episodes of just these poor kids recounting their trauma? I'm gonna watch it. I want to watch it, but it's one of those. I have to kind of gird myself before I sit down and do it.
Something, and again, the problem here with this issue with Nickelodeon is that it was very systematic, and it what they say, it rots from the head.
Yeah, the fish rots from the head. Yeah.
The fish rots from the head, and Dan Schneider, which it was even bad. We were talking about Diddy earlier today.
Yeah.
It was even bad to see all this about Dan Schneider, because Dan Schneider was Dennis on Head of the Class, which was a show that I loved as a kid. It was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid in the 80s and early 90s, and he was hilarious on that show.
Yeah,
and so it was sort of so disappointing to see somebody that you saw as a kid on TV, be this tyrant, because that's what he was to these kids. And, the fact that, as I said, the fish rots from the head, that he had this reign of terror on these kids.
Everybody was terrified.
And there's a huge, there's a whole episode that's almost all about Amanda Bynes.
Oh, okay.
Right, because the thing with Amanda Bynes is that
her career was pretty much
discovered her on the show All That.
Yeah.
And then that led on to the Amanda Show.
Right. And then she went on to What I Like About You.
Right. And all that was produced by him.
Yeah.
And
so they had an extensive working relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously we know what happened, everything that happened with Amanda Bynes. That's it's a tragedy. It's just awful, the current state of Amanda Bynes. Yeah. And it was just so disappointing to see that, again, Nickelodeon, that, it's Disney and it's Nickelodeon, right? That you grow up watching, we especially grew up watching in the Double Dare years, and then we kept watching these shows, or we knew about these shows, to see the systematic, again, he was a tyrant that this man had over these kids. The fact that they hired, or were on staff, multiple pedophiles, and then the sexual abuse of Drake Bell. It was all these things that happened for many, many years, and either nobody noticed or nobody cared. And
I'm not sure which is worse.
There's so much accountability to go on there. Accountability from the executives, from the producers, from even the parents. Yeah, because a lot of these parents would just leave their kids. It was like a summer camp. Yeah,
they just dropped them off and then.
And I would always think my parents wouldn't do that. What?
Right. But even still, look, there's only so much supervision you can even have of your child, right? Because you can be on set every single day and
something like that happen.
Something can happen. The minute that you walk off set because you're like, oh shit, I have to go to a doctor's appointment today.
Right. Well, there was actually there's a kid, I forget his name, that he did 1 or 2 seasons of All That, and I think they were going to come in for the 3rd season, and he got fired. They didn't renew him for the 3rd season because his mom was there every day, and his mom was advocating for him, and his mom was a thorn in the side of the producers,
right?
Because she was defending her kid.
But she was being a parent.
She was being a parent. So that ultimately that led to his dismissal of the show. Right. but there were so many kids that's like, okay, well, where were the parents? And again, in that particular case, if your kid is in entertainment, as you said, you could be there every day and there's things that go on and you still don't know. But that's why I say it was very systematic. Like it was a lot of kids, a lot of time, a lot of different things that were going on. And yeah,
I mean, a part of it, I think also in a weird way, because it went on for so long, these kids shows for the most part last maybe like 3-4 years on average. So what happens is you're always cycling out and cycling in. Right. So it's like the old crop, once people might start getting wise to what's happening. Oh, the show's over. Thank you for your service. We're bringing new kids in now who know what's going on behind the scenes, who don't know what monster, this person is at the producer level. So it's almost like you set up this perfect system where you can just bring in new victims, for lack of a better word, every so often and push the old ones out.
Right.
It's you keep replenishing the system.
Right. It was just it was really bad. It was really, really bad. So
yeah.
Okay.
I just
Hey everyone, it's DJ. Y oye, we've been digging on Kawi Lemon Lime Soda for a bit now. The tart, sweet, bubbly taste of Kawi Lemon Lime is perfect for thirst quenching, and it's been a hit at all of our Ping Pong Pollo pop-ups. People love it. Not to mention, it's been a crisp, refreshing soda since 1948 without an aftertaste like some other sodas. Just saying. Así que get your Kawi Lemon Lime at your store or even online. And if your store doesn't carry it, pues pídelo and start enjoying the authentically Cuban taste of Kawi Lemon Lime today. Kawi Lemon Lime, que rico es. Well, all this has made me thirsty.
Yes. It's so I think it is it's Kawi time.
Limón con lima, lima, limón. Lo trae Kawi, que vacilón. En la respuesta pa' este calor. Tómate un Kawi, lima, limón. Kawi!
All right, so who's your last Kawi going to?
So my last Kawi this week, I'm actually going to give a Kawi to the whole thing of Kate Middleton. So Kate Middleton Kawi.
The whole,
we actually talked about it here last week.
Touched on it.
That I was like, leave her alone. Mm-hmm. At that point in time, we didn't know there was a cancer diagnosis, but I was kind of like, leave her alone. Like, why is the whole world looking for Kate Middleton? Like,
she doesn't owe you an explanation.
She's living her life. You know, maybe it was something frivolous, maybe it was something serious, but like, what's the big deal about it? And unfortunately, it was a very big deal. She had a cancer diagnosis, and so I mean,
there was a reason, guys.
There was a reason, and a lot of people then were like, they were having a reckoning, a come to Jesus moment, like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. No shit. Like, I mean,
you don't get to set a building on fire and then be the hero when you call 911.
People are so quick to think of something frivolous,
right,
rather than to think, well, maybe something is going on,
right? Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah. And I mean, I know in her particular case, that whole picture debacle and the palace and the way they tried to cover it up didn't help. The fire that was going on in terms of what was going,
but
an explanation for why she was missing. But regardless, I mean, you always have to assume that there could be something really wrong here, and there was, and there is. So she didn't say what kind, right? What kind of cancer. I mean, I'm thinking that it was the abdomen. It could be colon cancer,
or even uterine,
right? Maybe, right. So they haven't said what stage it was. She said that the surgery was successful, but that she's doing chemo as a precaution, which again, you don't know how if they're giving the whole story, which is fine,
but again, she doesn't owe us anything,
a full thorough explanation of her medical records. She doesn't owe that to people. I just hope that really the press lays back, gets off of them and let her deal with this. I mean, that's a scary, terrible thing to go through regardless, and it's even worse to now have the pressure of the world's media and eyes on you while you're going through this tough time. So, a Kawi to her.
Yes. So my last Cowie is actually it's something that happened to me on Fake Friday. So it's a little bit of a story, so just bear with me, listeners. So I was at the gym, and I go to the sauna after I do my workout, and I'm, I in there, I do my own little, like, put my headphones on, I do a little dancing while I'm in there. I don't care who's in there, whatever.
You dance in the sauna?
I do. I don't care. Because I'm working up more sweat. Like, not full on choreography, but like, I'm kind of jamming side to side, doing my thing. So today, as I was walking out, this kid, maybe about 19 years old, he tells me, he's like, oh man, you've got some really good music. And my first instinct was to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was so loud that you could hear it. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I said. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was so loud. And he's like, no, it's not that. It's just that, like, you are like a total vibe every time you're in there. Like, you're just dancing. And
what were you playing?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you right now. It was just some like random day list playlist. Like, yeah, like you're always in there. You always look like you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself. And I was like, I first of all, I said thank you. Like, well, I'm getting some extra sweat in there, but I just want to say it more, to our listeners, like, listeners, be the vibe, right? Be a vibe. If you're out there and something's bringing you joy and you want to, you're walking down the street and a song pops in your head, sing it out loud. If you want to do a little dance, while you're doing your grocery shopping with the shopping cart, do it. If you have, there's some type of t-shirt that you like that you just think looks cute on you, just wear it. Just be a vibe, because apparently people can just pick up on when you are being sincerely in a moment and enjoying yourself.
I am none of those things.
And, well, you're not a vibe?
No.
You should be a vibe. We should all be a vibe.
I just can't pick up a t-shirt and wear it. I'm going to think 1,000 things on why am I wearing this t-shirt? Does it fit well? Does it fit to where I'm going? Is it going to be appropriate later? Be
a vibe. That's my last Cowie is to this kid who said, that I was a vibe. And
so is the Cowie to him or to you or to your vibe?
It's to him. It's to him, because I think people like him are more of what we need in the world, which is just kind of like making other people feel that it's just okay to be yourself and just, do you.
Yeah.
As long as, you're not like a serial killer.
Yeah.
We're going to call that the line.
I think that one day for fun, you and I should do content for our Pero Primos of you and I at the gym.
I've thought about this, actually.
You go in.
I've thought about this.
Yourself. And you're the vibe that you are.
Listeners, you need to see the face that he had when he said yourself.
I go in, don't talk to me, don't look at me. I'm covered from head to toe. The only thing you see is my face.
Workout burqa.
And I wouldn't even dare go to the sauna.
Oh yeah. I go in, and I take my shirt off, and I just and depending on the underwear, I sometimes take my shorts off too.
Oh my god! You know what I would do?
Put even more clothes on?
No, if I decided, today I'm going to try the sauna for the first time, and I would see you, I would go, and I'm not. I'm leaving.
But I'm not the only one in there. Like, a lot of the guys in there are just in underwear.
I'm afraid of the vibe. Oh,
yeah.
No, I can't handle that. Nope. That's why I've never been to the sauna.
Oh, I love it. After a workout, it's so cool. It's refreshing.
Remember, I don't like hot things.
This is true.
Now, if they had a cold plunge,
you would do that, or like one of those bathtubs with ice. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god, do you know what I love? I've only done it twice, but I love are the ice bars.
Oh, I've never done one of those. I always wanted to.
Oh my gosh, I remember one time I went to Vegas, and they give you like a coat. I'm like, I don't need the coat.
You're like, I'm fine.
I'm fine. Like, I don't need the coat.
This is nowhere near as cold as my house.
After a while, yes, you do need it. It gets to you, but like for the first 10 minutes, I don't need that coat.
You're like, I live in the tundra. I love how we brought the hot thing full circle at the end with the sauna.
I mean, I do like a jacuzzi.
That's true.
I do like a hot tub.
Nice little hot tub.
I mean, everything has exceptions.
It's true. It's the exceptions that prove the rule. Yes.
But no, especially with other people. Oh hell no. That's like, oh hell no. Like with other people, and oh my god, no. Like, I am running the other way.
Again, listeners, be the vibe.
I'm running the other way with my long sleeves and my
into the cold plunge.
Into the cold plunge. I'm going to the cold plunge. And on the way, I'm going to see a moose.
Yes. While listening to Nelly Furtado.
I'm like a bird. No, you're not. You're a moose. Okay, I love that. I love all the continuing storylines of this episode. This episode was fun. So everybody, so Ishmael's vibe gets a kawi. I don't think his vibe has ever gotten a kawi before.
No.
So anyway, we hope everybody listened, laughed, and learned. This was a great episode. We hope everybody listened, laughed, and learned. And as always, remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your kawi. And thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great weekend.
All right, we say Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter. Bye-bye.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lamleplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.